Touch max, bro. Touch maxing. I've spoken to tons of young footballers who think ball control is just doing as many touches as possible. But real ball control is not just showing up to the field, keeping it close to you with no pressure on a random Tuesday. Because in a real game, the ball is not always going to come to you perfectly. The defender's not always going to give you the time of day that you have in individual training. And so if your first touch breaks down the second the game speeds up, your ball control is not game ready yet. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to master ball control as a footballer, starting with the basic touches and building all the way up to the control that will show up when the pressure is actually on. I'm Joe Efford. I played professional football for over 10 years, and one thing you notice quickly around high-level players is that they do not look like they are fighting the ball, or that the ball is uncomfortable for their body. And trust me, that does not happen by accident. It came from building control the right way, from the basic touches all the way up to pressure, speed, and real game actions. So I'm gonna break this down into 5 levels, with the entire focus being to build control that will actually transfer into real football. So what does it actually take to build ball control as a footballer? And trust me, it's not random ball mastery and kicking the ball, trying to get as many touches as possible, just doing random things. There's a structure and a progression system that we have to follow, and that's very important. Because ball control becomes real when it shows up in real games, when there's actual pressure. Not when you're doing it on a random Tuesday, doing individual training. So let's talk about our levels right now. Level 1 is where we're gonna be getting lots of touches on the ball. This is where we're gonna be building the base of everything that we're doing. Because look, if you can't do basic drills like inside or toe touches with ease, you're not gonna be able to do more advanced topics. So level 1 is where the beginner should be starting. We're doing inside touches, we're doing different types of ball mastery, and we're working our way up to the more advanced topics. This is where touch maxing matters most. And I want you to pay attention to how comfortable I am with my body on the ball. A lot of players will notice they might be like this with the ball, with their knees locked, and their body uncomfortable with what they're doing. That would mean they're not ready to progress from level 1. So if I was to follow a specific circuit for level 1, it would look something like this. I would do 3 sets of 1 minute of inside touches. After 1 minute of doing those exercises, I'd rest, and then I'd do my next set. After that, I would do things like toe touches. This is gonna start building the agility and rhythm of being able to move my body when the ball's not moving. We can start doing things like inside outside with just the right foot. Same thing, following that same 3 reps of 1 minute. Make sure to do this with both feet. At level 1, it's really important that we're building the foundation, and so that we're not limiting ourselves to only using 1 foot. And to be honest, most of you will look at these drills and say, yeah, that's really easy. But most players won't do it how I'm doing it. First off, their touches won't be as clean, but the way that they're controlling their body won't be either. For example, they might be really stiff like this with their upper body, and their touch might be going all over the place. So a part of level 1 is noticing when the ball feels comfortable, your touches are clean, but that your upper body and the way that you move with the ball is also comfortable. Adding onto our circuit, we have things like push-pulls. This is where you're gonna be getting a lot of touches in a short amount of time, but it's really important, again, that your body's comfortable and that your touches look sharp. You're not ready to progress to the next levels until this looks flawless. A quick example of how someone might be if they're an amateur and they're struggling in this aspect would be the ball will be going too forward and they're reaching for it. And they can't get their touches right, that their agility is causing a problem for them. This would be little signs that they're not ready to progress and that they need to spend more time at level 1. You guys have to remember, if you can't do things slow, you're not gonna be able to do them fast. So you need to start here, make sure that your body's comfortable doing what you're doing with the ball, that the ball is moving cleanly and not too far in front of you, not too soft, and that you're also being really agile with your movements. For example, for this move, a lot of players will be really flat-footed like this, and they can't adjust their body with the ball. But a player who's at a higher standard will stay light on their toes and bounce with the ball. These are little key things that you need to be paying attention to know if you're ready to progress to level 2. So level 1 was about clean touches. because if your touches aren't clean, you're basically gonna be fighting with the ball all the time. But controlling the ball in one place is only the first step. The problem is, can you remain under control when your body has to change direction? Which leads me to level 2, and it's where players realize that ball control is not doing skill moves in one spot. It's being able to move the ball and change direction in a coordinated manner with your body. For example, you can do this skill move right here in a stationary place. That would help you with ball mastery. But when you want to become a better player, it's really important that we're adding change of direction. So you can do that same skill move now, but on the move, where you're doing the motion, but also having to change direction with your body in a coordinated manner. This is what level 2 is all about. There are tons of different drills that we can focus on when we're working on change of direction. For example, this simple inside cut. And a lot of amateurs will make the mistake here of not being able to control the ball on the chop. The ball will go too far in front of them, or they'll lose control when they're trying to change direction. And it's why level 2 is all about focusing on change of direction with the ball, making sure that our bodies can move in a coordinated manner while we're changing direction. The mistakes might look like this at a higher speed, where they lose control of the ball, hit the cone, or they can't stop the ball and the ball continues in that direction. These are all the mistakes that we're looking to eliminate at level 2. And it's a great progression from level 1. So to train this, I would do things like right foot change of direction dribbling, with no skill move yet, but just teaching my body how to move with the ball. And of course, that means being able to do it with both feet, because changing your body in direction with the ball using the other foot is a little bit different. And for comparison, level 1 would look like this, where we're doing that inside-outside touches, teaching ourselves to move the ball at the inside and outside of the foot. So on top of right foot and left foot, we can also do both feet. We're shifting in between our both feet at the cones. So really important here that you have a balanced body. And also the last thing I'd mention is making sure that you're exiting with a purpose. You see, we're not just moving through these cones aimlessly. It's really important that we're doing it the correct way. The next thing that we need to focus on is making sure that our cuts are really sharp. You don't want to get here and be taking multiple touches in order to get around the cones. It needs to be really sharp because that's what creates separation from the defender. You see, if we're just going around and we're rounding the cones, that's what's going to give the defender time to catch back up to us. So everything you do with these drills need to be sharp and on purpose. At the end of the day, level 2 is making sure that the ball is moving with you, with your body, and not away from you. Direction change helps you keep control of the ball as your body moves into new spaces. But even if you can keep control of the ball while changing direction, it doesn't quite mean that you're ready for games yet. Because in the game, you have to receive the ball before you control it. Now, a lot of players have good first touches standing still. They can pass with their friends standing still and these kind of things. But when it comes to game time, a touch standing still doesn't work. You have to be able to take a touch out of pressure, set up your next action, whether that's a pass, shot, or something like this, and make sure that your first touch is not stuck under your foot or too far out in front of you, because that's when the defender is just going to come take the ball. So we need to make sure that we're developing our ball control in order to show up in real games. So level 3 is all about our first touch that actually works in real games versus one that just works in individual training. You see, for example, let's say I receive the ball in my feet and it's stuck underneath me. That's going to lead to a lot of pressure because the defender is going to be on me quick, simply because my head is down and I'm looking down at the ball. Or let's say I receive the ball and I take too hard of a touch and it's too far in front of me. The defender is just going to come sweep in and steal the ball. We need to make sure that we have ball control that lasts in games, and that means having a great first touch that can take us out of pressure and also to set up our next action. So let's say the pressure is coming from this way. I could take my touch away from that pressure and set up my next action. So we need to be able to train this in individual training to make sure that it's showing up in real games. So in order to train this, I would find a wall in my city, or I'd have a rebounder, and I would start focusing on one-touch alternating passes. This is going to teach me how to receive the ball even without taking that one touch. After that, I'd progress into two-touch passing at a stationary position right now. This is going to teach me how to weigh my touch accordingly and not make it under my foot like this, and make sure that it's not too far out in front of me. So all the time we're spending time in front of the wall so that we can get a lot of reps in a short amount of time. Focus on alternating passing here, because the focus here is more about that touch than it is the pass. Of course, this drill is also going to work on our passing, but I'm really focusing on my ball control here. To progress from here, all I'm going to do is take one cone and put it at the center of my wall so that I can change lanes with my first touch. This is what's going to mimic taking our first touch away from pressure, changing a lane, and then making our next action. For this drill, I'm basically taking my touch across into a new lane and then firing in a pass. My wall is really thin, so my touches have to be accurate. Just this little touch is manipulating the ball how I want to, versus just taking a touch in this same lane here. Now I'm having to manipulate it here and then fire in a pass. Now, really important here, again, ball control is not just what we do with the ball, it's how we use our body with the ball in coordination. So let's say now, for our next progression, we're gonna be receiving the ball side on like this. What this is gonna do, it's gonna turn a closed situation like this into an open one like this. Really important, we're receiving on that back foot in order to set up our next action. Key detail with level 2 and level 3 is making sure that you understand that your body needs to move in coordination with the ball. I want you to imagine for a second that the goalkeeper has the ball for a goal kick and you're a center back. The goalkeeper plays you the ball, and as it's coming to you, you need to open your body up in order to make a pass to your fullback or to your center midfielder, versus just staying closed off like this when the goalkeeper passes you the ball. Moving your body in coordination with the ball is a huge part of having good ball control and setting up your next action. Now, for our fourth and final drill for this section, we have 2 sets of cones here, 3 on each side. What this is going to do is set up our first touch into a dribble. You see, level 3 is all about your first touch that leads into the next action. So what we're going to be doing is firing the ball in, turning, and dribbling through the cones as quickly as possible. And then we're going to walk back, and we're going to go the other way. Make sure we're using both feet here and turning with both feet. For my more advanced players, throw in a scan as the ball's traveling to you. Notice how that first touch leads straight into the dribble. Level 3 was about taking ball control and connecting it to real football. You see, that first touch, which is all about ball control, into the next action is actually what football is all about. But now we have another problem, because what happens when you need to control the ball when the game is moving much faster? And that leads me to level 4, which is making sure that your ball control shows up when the game is fast. You see, a lot of young players, they look really good when the drills are really slow, like they're playing pickup games with their friends or something like this, when there's no pressure and the game is really slow. But there's a difference between having ball control that shows up when it's slow and the ones that show up when it's fast. For example, I'm going to dribble through these cones at one pace, and I want you guys to pay attention to that pace. When I'm dribbling like this, it's really easy to maintain control over the ball. But then if I want to go from slow into acceleration and go fast, that ball control becomes that much more difficult. Not only is this easy to defend, it also is not going to be game realistic because the defenders are going to be going fast. So really important that you have that change of momentum and tempo in order to build real ball control. This could also be slow to fast, or it could be fast to slow. Football is not played at one speed. So you can't have ball control that can only play at that one speed. You need to be able to shift tempos and maintain ball control. So to train this, I would do drills like straight line acceleration, which is gonna teach me to sprint with the ball. We have 3 turns that we like to focus on. First is the Cruyff turn. The next is the simple pullback. And then finally, we have the reverse step over. Notice how all 3 of these turns do the same exact thing. I'm approaching fast, I'm slamming on the brakes, and then I'm accelerating again, changing tempo while maintaining ball control. For drill number 2, we have what I call the L drill, where we're accelerating to this cone and we're chopping aggressively, and then we're finishing off here. That same change of tempo that you see before is happening in this same drill. For drill 3, we have 3 cones set up. What we're doing is we're accelerating to this middle cone, we're throwing a stop and go move, and we're then accelerating to the last cone. Important here, stop and go. Of course, focus on different skill moves. Ball control at speed is what teaches us to survive the game, because the game is not a game that's played at one speed. We're all the time changing tempos, going fast, going slow, and you need a ball control that shows up at both speeds. But even speed is not the final test. Real ball control will show up in a game when you're in real game scenarios. And that's what leads me to level 5, whereas real game scenarios using your ball control. This would look like things like shielding the ball with the defender on your back. It would also look like you taking on a passive defender, changing directions and stuff like this. Then it would look like you're progressing to a higher stage where you're with your friend and he's actually defending you, that he's going shoulder to shoulder with you, that he's tackling you strong, and that you're needing to maintain ball control. This is how you're gonna take your individual training and make sure that it transitions into real games, and so that ball control actually survives the actual pressures of the game. And another way to train actual game scenarios is using a random number generator and 2 sets of cones. So you can't see them right here, but I have a blue cone and a red cone. You'll see it in a second. But what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna set our random number generator. When it starts to go off, let's say that it's even and it's 42. That would mean a touch towards the blue cone and away from the red cone. Now let's say it's odd. I'm gonna take a touch towards the red cone and away from that blue cone. What it's gonna force us to do is teach us to take a touch away from the defender that's oncoming, positioning our body in between the ball and the defender. Let's walk through it real quick. So I'm gonna have it behind me so that I have to scan my shoulder and see what's going on behind me. So as the ball's traveling to me, I'm gonna scan 54. If it's 54, that means I'm taking a touch away from the red cone and towards the blue cone, and then I'm gonna reset. 2. 17. 50. This is the final level because now your ball control is not only clean, it shows up in real games. So to recap, mastering ball control is not just about doing random touches. It is about building control in the right order. First, we talked about clean touches, so your feet get comfortable with the ball. Then direction changes so you can move your body and the ball together. Then we talked about first touch into space so that your control starts helping you receive and play faster. All the way until that ball control shows up in your actual game, not just random touch maxing. So now that you understand how to build ball control properly, the next step is learning how to make the game feel slower before the ball even arrives. Because your touch gets a lot cleaner when your body shape, scanning, and decisions are already set up. So go watch this next video because I break down exactly how to make football feel easier. And trust me, it's a banger.